boogeyman real? Why are you so obsessed with the boogeyman, Tommy?
You know, I think what I like most about this film is the new stuff, the new characters, and in the early days of Michael Myers, because for me that was always the biggest challenge. You know, I knew that since he had appeared in 8 other films, that adult Michael Myers in the jumpsuit and the white mask works on film. You know, we've seen it work. But what I didn't know would work, and what was the most challenging thing was, you know, would young Michael Myers be compelling? Would the family be compelling? Would his time in Smith's Grove be compelling? And for me, that's the best stuff in the whole movie. That's the stuff I like the most. And so that was what I was most happy with. That all the unknown factors and all the new stuff turned out great. And you know, for everyone that I've ever spoken to that's seen the film, that seems to be the stuff they love the most too. Growing up as a kid, the horror films that I got exposed to first were all the classic things like Frankenstein, you know, Dracula, the Mummy. And I think what I related to was that the monsters, you know, we didn't call them horror films, we call them monster movies. The monsters were always these sort of sympathetic, misunderstood characters. Even if they were doing bad things, they were sort of always trapped in the middle. And I think as a kid, you just instinctively relate to that. You know, whether it's King Kong or Godzilla or the Wolfman. You know, they never really were made out to be evil. And that was the pitch I had, too, for Halloween. Because, you know, I thought, like, you know, we have Michael Myers as evil incarnate for 8 movies. And I was like, I wanted to treat him more like he was Frankenstein. So that when he's this big, giant guy causing all this havoc, I mean, he knows what he's doing, and he is insane, but you sort of have this sort of, like, slight sympathy, or you feel something for him because you've seen him as a kid, so you know how there's something behind the mask. It's not just nothing. It's hard to see how you evolve because you don't really think of it that way. But, you know, I mean, House of a Thousand Corpses was just complete chaos. You know, your first film, you don't really even know what you're doing. Everything's crazy, and, you know, every stupid mistake you could make, you make.
Most of all, fuck you!
So in the second film, you go, okay, well, I made those millions of those mistakes. I can remedy those. So I think that's why Devil's Rejects is a much more complete, together film.
Hey!
But then you look at that and you go, oh, well, you know, start noticing things. And I think the big thing that you try to evolve as is a better storyteller and a more patient person with yourself, where you can let things play out. There's not such a feel that there has to be this craziness. And, you know, that was sort of what I was trying to do with the sanitarium stuff, not be so, you know, gotta get through it, you know, like, give things time and try to let it play out, and realize that just one giant shot would be enough, that it didn't need the coverage, and trusting yourself on certain things. I mean, basically, you're just always trying to evolve as a way to tell the story better, you know, to get more subtle performances and more subtle things happening at all times. So hopefully that's what happens.
Could you just talk a little bit about your direction to people as trying to keep it real?
Yeah, I mean, keeping it real is what it's all about. You know, even if it seems like something ridiculous. Like, say, the character of Big Joe Grizzly in the bathroom.
Hey, buddy, just give you a heads up. I got a Taco Deluxe Supreme talking back at me, so I'm gonna be a while.
That guy seems very larger than life in a way, and could seem cartoony, but he seems real. He plays it real. Like, and I mean, that's kind of his personality. So you watch, you go, okay, I would believe that that's a person like that. And sometimes I struggle with it, I think, because my reality is different than someone else's reality. I mean, I know, most of the people I know are extreme people who maybe seem ridiculous. So sometimes, well, they'll go, well, that person, that seems so outlandish. And I go, no, I know someone who's exactly like that all the time. So it's trying to balance your reality with other people's reality so that the things you create don't seem cartoony and ridiculous, even though they might seem 100% real to you. Because sometimes you know, I don't know, it's finding that balance. Sometimes I'll watch a movie and I go, yeah, this seems real, but it just seems kind of boring. You know, like one dull person after another dull person. Sometimes I'll watch a movie, I can't tell the characters apart after a while. Like, okay, 4 guys with really short hair and they're all wearing sweaters. I don't even know which character's which. Give somebody a mustache or something. I gotta find something here that I can tell these characters apart. Especially when it comes younger characters. I'm like, they all look like the same guy to me. I can't tell any of these people apart. So I like to, you know, try to do that too. And as far as, like, say, the violence or something, you know, I just think that, you know, a lot of times horror movies are known for more outlandish violence, but obviously when it becomes that, to me, it becomes a cartoon. So I try to keep the violence simple, because it always is pretty simple, you know, simple and nasty, and I think that that's what works best. I think the worst thing you can do, and I know that actors hate this, that I've spoken to, is, like, just get so uptight, like, that the script is the script and it can never change, and that's it. We're shooting this no matter what happens, because until you're there and you're in the environment with all the people, you just don't know. I mean, one of the biggest scenes I think that I just thought of on the spot was the killing of Laurie's mom. Because the way it was, I can't remember the script anymore. I think the way it was written was she goes in the house, kills the dad on the front porch, and then Michael Myers goes in the house, slams the door, and we just, you know, you can leave it to your imagination that the mom dies. But we were there that day, and Dee Wallace had dropped by for a wardrobe fitting, and we had this set that looked like a living room that was sort of like left over from something else. She's there, he's there, like, let's shoot it, you know. And, you know, we didn't have the guy who played the dad, so, you know, someone else was sort of laying there in the background to be the dead body. But, you know, that was one thing that was never meant to be, that we just shot real quick.
Was Dee cool about that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, everybody's cool about that. I never heard an actor complain. So you mean I'm going to be on screen more than I expected? I don't think so. No, everyone is always cool. They're all happy to be there. I mean, they always seem to have a good time. Another one was all the exterior rabbit and red stuff at night, which luckily I shot because we weren't ready on the next thing. So, you know, Dan Roebuck, who's most of his part got cut out except for the stuff that was just the stuff we did at the end. Just him and, you know, Sherry walking to the car, which was never anything that was needed, but it's like, we're here, it's all lit up, let's shoot it. And it gave me a nice transition moment that I later needed. The ins and outs of people walking in and out of Smiths Grove Sanitarium were a lot of stuff we just made up, and that stuff got elaborate too. That was where I was like, I need them walking in, but I need it in the snow. And that's when the producer just has that look like he's going to faint, like, snow. But, you know, it becomes like a big moment that I'm glad I shot, and everyone thought it was crazy. They're like, you're going to spend all that money on one shot? I'm like, yes, I am. But, you know, how am I going to show the passage of time? Like, this kid's been in there for month after month after month. If every time you cut to the place, it's like, looks like it's July. So these are the things, you know. And then one day I was like, oh, we needed to rain, but we didn't have any rain towers, so we just found a garden hose and created the rain. But, you know, can't tell. It looks ridiculous when you're doing it, but it all works out great. It's your job to be the person who can see the finished movie in their head. So they just have to trust that you're doing it for a reason.
Michael!